What is going on, guys? It is Wade, aka Attack Motorsports, here with another video for Doryoku Streetworks. As you guys can see, we are inside today, nice and warm. It is currently the middle of winter just outside the GTA. A lot more snow this year than last year. Definitely a lot colder as well. And like many of you, most of us like to put our cars away throughout the winter. Gives us a chance to unwind from the car season, think about the next thing you want to do to your build, prevent any corrosion, any rust buildup, all that fun stuff, and save some money. But usually when we save that money, it tends to go back in towards the build. So that's why I'm here today. Today I'm going to be discussing a couple new products that I bought and showcasing them. One of them will be an unboxing video as well. I've done a couple of them, but this one I have no idea what it looks like underneath the box, so I'm excited for that. And then I'll also be answering a couple questions that were sent to me over the past couple weeks, just to kind of engage with my audience as well. But again, I'd like to welcome you guys to another video. Let's get to it. Okay guys, so let's get to the first segment here, which is just a couple quick questions. I'm going to start introducing these type of segments into like my personal videos. I thoroughly enjoy like talking to my audience, whether it's car related or sports or any of that stuff. So I mean, you guys already know where to find me, but feel free to send questions anytime you want, and I will start doing maybe like every couple videos type of thing, gather everyone's questions and answer them. But today's first question is, what is one major regret you have with a build you've done or attempted to do? Okay, so it's kind of complicated, I guess you could say, for that. So we all have regrets with our builds for sure. I'm sure a lot of you guys went through the plasti dip phase, which was a nightmare for a lot of us. There's also certain things that you'll do to cars that you think might be cool at the time, and then you realize that the trend's kind of gone away, and then you kind of regret that. But for me personally, there's a couple that really stand out. But it also, I find that it's transitioned over the years. So like when I was younger, obviously you're newer to the car scene. So for me personally, I tried to accomplish every trend, which as I got older, I realized was dumb, because I started wasting money on stuff that wasn't basically building my car personally to me, but it was trying to accomplish the trend at the time. And if there was multiple trends, so for example, like, you know, like I had a car and like I put like a JDM shocker on it, but I also wanted like rally armor mud flaps, and then I wanted like a like DTM style exhaust, and then HIDs and stuff like that. Like it was just too much at the same time, instead of just basically building the car, I mean, the way that I like it, and maybe not wasting so much money on and stuff like that. Plasti dip, like I mentioned, for sure is like a huge one. Yeah, I remember the Tiburon was like a plasti dip machine. Like I plasti dipped everything on that, like rear spoiler. I plasti dipped the rear bottom part of the bumper to make it look like I didn't have a bottom part of the bumper. Like I had like some makeshift diffuser. It was so stupid, and I wasted a lot of money on that. I think the number one thing that I regret the most was when I owned the IROC. I attempted to do the E36 headlight conversion. So it can be done, and it does look good when it's done properly, but I was such in a rush to do it that I basically botched the entire front end of my Camaro. So for those that own IROCs, if you guys know the mod, then you'll have an idea what I'm talking about. But if you don't, then basically you have to remove the 4 eyes, which those lights in general are a huge pain to deal with as far as maintenance and seal beam. And then sometimes the front bumper will warp from over the years, so like it's a pain to get screwdrivers in there to take the covers off and stuff like that. So there's different ways of doing that. You can do like the Euro spec type of light, which is a different style of housing, which I think is a lot easier to fit in. I tried doing it with the USDM style, and I made these like jimmy rig brackets, and like I used like 1,000 washers to like space stuff out. Like in the long run, it was stupid. And although it looked kind of okay, when I wanted to like really get back to what the car was, I couldn't do that, because you basically cut the entire headlight buckets out, and then you have to find that entire part that goes behind the front bumper. So it's, yeah, that's probably the biggest regret that I have, but there's multiple ones, and I think it just stems over the years. Basically, yeah, like spending so much money to accomplish so many things. And like for those that are building cars now, like I'm sure you spend so long like wanting a certain part, or like you keep saying to yourself like, oh, when I get this, I'm gonna do this mod and this mod and this mod, and then you basically buy your car and you go and you do it, and then you realize in the long run it's not even worth it. So when it comes to advice for that, just take your time, build the car the way that you want. As you mature as a car enthusiast, you'll start to realize stuff that maybe I'm starting to realize now. But yeah, that's basically the regret on that. Okay, so then moving on to the second question here, I just have these two today, so nothing too crazy. But apart from the cars you own now, what would be your attainable dream car? That's an interesting question too. So I wouldn't say that I own any of my dream cars right now. Obviously, the RX7, I mean, the brand itself is one of my dream cars. The FD would always kind of be my dream. Um, but again, this kind of goes what I was saying about the mods. Like as I get older, you start to change what you want as a dream car. Um, I find there's different tiers of dream cars. My all-time favorite dream car is the F40 and the 288 GTO. Obviously, I'll never be able to afford any of those. But attainable dream car now, like what would I want? Um, oh man. I mean, I'm a big, obviously again, the FD is probably the biggest one. I mean, attainable, they're getting pretty far up there. Um, I'm starting to get a soft spot for like the Evos, like an Evo 7 or an Evo 8. Um, I mean, again, they're kind of in that FD range, maybe a little bit lower. It just depends on the builds, right? Like I could probably buy an FD today if I want to. It would just be basically a shell, and I wouldn't have enough to build that car for years. But I would have my dream car in my garage. But um, I don't know. I have tons of different dream builds I want to do. Like I've always wanted a 65 Lincoln Continental, which I mean, again, they vary in price. It just depends on I mean how much time and money and the time length that I would have that build. So very hard question for me to actually answer. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, there's quite a bit, but definitely the cars now aren't necessarily my dream cars. So in fact, some of them can be nightmares. But yeah, so that's the end of the question segment. Just a couple questions, nothing too crazy. But let's get to our first set of products, and then we'll get into our unboxing. Okay guys, so we're getting to our first set of products here. So if you guys have followed the channel for a while, which many of you have, you guys will know that I am the proud owner of an RX7 FC. I've done a couple onboard videos with it, but I have mentioned in the past that the car is rather loud for my liking. Very drony. With the exhaust on it currently right now, like I currently have basically with the FC is you have your, I call it a bulkhead, but basically the exhaust manifold that comes off, it's basically just like the small you mean cast iron bulb that comes off the two ports, and then you have basically a downpipe that bolts to that, and then you have the remaining of the exhaust. So the exhaust I have on it now is a custom exhaust. Basically the previous owner, right where that kind of downpipe that bolts to that stock manifold they basically enlarge that to I think a 2.5-inch pipe straight to the back. There's a fake cat that is in there at the moment, and then I have a Y pipe that splits to two vibrant mufflers. So a vibrant muffler on this side, a vibrant one on this side, which I think is actually two ultra quiet resonators. So the exhaust was really well done. It's actually one of the nicest custom exhausts that I've seen as far as welds and quality and fitment and stuff like that. Like it's really, really nice, and it looks really good on the car as well too. But it's just too drony for my liking. I'm going to be using the parts from that exhaust for the Acura actually. So we're actually going to take both those resonators and make one a resonator for the Acura and put the other one as a tailpipe or a muffler with the tailpipe. But yeah, I think it was time to switch up the exhaust system in general with the FC. So I'm kind of going a more authentic route of it. So this is the first stage of it right here. So when changing the FC, you got to be cognitive of your model and stuff like that, which I'll kind of get into as we start talking here with these products. But to get started first, so Racing Beat. Racing Beat makes a header. This is it right here. The first thing I'm going to notice is, I mean, the welds are pretty good. It is insanely thick gauge. Like, I'm assuming it's steel, right? Yeah, I would assume it's steel, obviously. But I mean, like, I got a 1/2 inch thick flange here, and everything is just so thick to be able to handle that much heat and that much expansion from the rotary motor. So the first thing you're going to notice as well, too, is this is the O2 bung right here. On the stock manifold on the RX7 FC, on the S4, I'm not sure about the S5, but on the S4 for sure, is that the O2 bung is actually basically into that exhaust manifold I was talking about earlier. So already here, we're going to have to extend the wire for that. But I mean, Racing Beat is a very, very reputable brand when it comes to the RX7 world. They make probably, I think, the only place that makes a header for it. There might be a couple, I don't know if Pacesetter does or a couple other small companies, but Racing Beat for sure, you can't go wrong. So I was able to snag this locally. I actually have 2 of these now. But yeah, to find this whole package that you'll see in front of you here as I go through it, I found it locally in Ontario for like a good deal, because at this time of the video, the exchange rate with America is like absolutely insane for us Canadians. So it's really hard for us to get parts without going broke up here. So I found the proper setup. Again, this is for an 86 to 91 FC NA. This is just their regular header. They do make a road race header that has like basically a true dual type of system. But for me, this was the setup that I wanted to go with. And the fact that I found this locally is absolutely massive. So first thing is this Racing Beat header, which will be going onto the car. And then in order to combat the heat, with that, I actually went out and bought DEI titanium exhaust wrap with some locking ties. For those that have used it before, you guys already know. But essential for sure, not only just in the RX7 world, but any header you install, it's always good to have that protection from the heat. So just a small little thing on that. And then again, locally, with this whole package that I was able to find from Racing Beat, we have our gaskets. So brand new gaskets, right? So we have the manifold to the motor, the main gasket there, and then we have our little kind of gaskets for all the connections, which to find it again as one package is huge. And then in this package here, which I'll kind of open when I do the install and stuff like that, you can kind of see it. But basically we have our O2 extension wire, which is in there. And then we have a block off plate. So again, when you make sure what chassis you're using as far as the S4 and the S5, there's lots of videos online you can take a look at when it comes to that for the RX7 world. I'm going to have to remove the air pump off my car. My car does not require the air pump to provide back pressure for my 5th and 6th port. The Turbo 2, or sorry, not the Turbo 2, but the S5, I believe, uses that air pump to provide back pressure to open those ports up. Again, a lot of stuff involved there, but I don't need it, so I can remove the air pump, which is a lot easier to be able to install this, the air pump and the air control valve, so we'll get into that at some point. But yeah, it came with the block off plate, it came with the O2 extension wire, the bolts to bolt the plate to the block, and it also came with a little cap for my intake. So that would be the hose that goes from my air pump and back into my intake. So really excited about that. And then next, pre-silencer. So this is huge right here. This is one of the reasons why I'm going with this whole route. This bolts right to the block, no problems. This pre-silencer will bolt to this header, no problems. Again, a lot of guys are going to say, well, the header is going to make your car a lot louder. It will, but I don't mind the volume. It's just the tone, if that makes sense. And again, like I probably could get away with throwing a couple of resonators into the exhaust I have now, but I kind of want to go a more authentic route when it comes to building the exhaust and changing it up. So yes, Racing Beat pre-silencer here. And there's a couple things you're going to want to notice too. Again, the gauge, like this is heavy, I'm not gonna lie. This is really heavy right now, but again, you can see how big this bad boy is. And then while you're looking at it too, so I have the bolts right there, or the nuts. That's for obviously to mount to this header right here. So one of the gaskets goes there, and then I'll have the nuts as well. And then another thing with the S4 versus S5. So this little pickup tube here, this is actually what the back pressure is sent through. I have a line or a tube that runs from this connection here back to my block. And then again, when I reach a certain RPM, those 5th and 6th ports will open, giving me full power capabilities of my beautiful stock rotary motor. But yeah, so this is key right here when you're buying a pre-silencer for the S4 RX7 NA. You definitely want to make sure that you have this pickup tube. And you guys, I don't think you guys can see it, but if you look inside, that's where this tube connects. So basically, as the exhaust is being pushed through the pre-silencer, this back pressure will go through this tube and back up to the block. And then another thing too, when you're buying this, again, I got lucky with it. This flange here as well. This is for a manual RX7. So if you buy one for an automatic, then I believe that this flange right here is actually moved over to here a bit. So that's just something, again, you want to make sure when you're buying it online, or if you find one locally, whether it's used or whatever, then you can be aware of what you're buying for your application. But I mean, to find this whole setup for a manual S4 RX7 NA, like, is just amazing. So really excited about this setup from Racing Beat. I know for a fact that it will change the tone of the motor, which is the biggest thing for me. That's basically what I want the most. But yeah, so Racing Beat header, Racing Beat pre-silencer with the Racing Beat block off plate, O2 extension wire, as well as the little cap for your intake, and all gaskets. So like, really, really good deal. 700 bucks Canadian I paid for this, which is huge. Like, it was going to cost me 700 bucks Canadian just to get this pre-silencer in from California. Yeah. So very lucky with that. And then of course the DEI wrap. So, but yeah, so that's the header, silencer, and all that stuff. But let's get to the unboxing, guys. I am so excited for this product to show you guys. Really, really looking forward to it. But yeah, let's get to it. Okay, guys, so here we are finally unboxing our newest part for the RX7 FC. I had to stand up for this. Package is pretty big. Hopefully my wife doesn't kill me that it's on our table downstairs here. If I sat down, you guys wouldn't be able to see me. But anyways, yes, so HKS catback exhaust for my RX7. I am definitely looking forward to this. There's a couple options or reasons why I chose HKS. Mainly because it's hard to find a catback exhaust for the RX7. Thankfully, NV Auto, they're located in Hamilton, or just outside Hamilton, Ontario there. They are officially authorized HKS dealer, so like anything HKS in the area that you need. I got like a bunch of stickers for them. I got the exhaust for them. Going forward, anything HKS I'm going to need is going to go through them. So NV Auto, thank you so much for being able to get this not only here, but within a reasonable time for a reasonable price. Like, unbelievable. So I'm super excited about that. Again, why did I choose HKS? Well, for the RX7, again, trying to find a full catback exhaust for it, especially a bolt-in one. Again, with the pre-silencer and the header from Racing Beat, I know that this exhaust will bolt up to that, no problems. I can use all the stock hangers. Everything fits perfectly. It's all one shot. So, yeah, with I think Apexi or Apexi, I don't know how to pronounce it properly. I know they make one as well, but trying to find that was a little bit tougher. And I'm not really a massive fan of like two massive cannons at the back. I'm going to kind of get into that as we unbox this, just because I know what this looks like. And then there's, I think, is it Feed or Fujitsu or something? I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing this stuff, but I'd have to bring that in from Japan. And again, with taxes and duties and all that stuff, it's just not feasible. Racing Beat does make a really high quality exhaust as well when it comes to either the true dual style and their catback. I'm not a big fan of how small the tips are on it, and you know, I heard the sound on it is really good, but it's also insanely heavy from what I've heard. So it's not really my style. I wanted something more of a tuner type of look. So I ended up choosing HKS. So there are options for you guys out there if you do want to get some stuff. It's just a matter of, you know, I mean, if how much you want to pay and what type of brand you want to use and what type of look. So RE Amia is another one that is like a really like sought after exhaust that I wanted, especially with the nice dolphin tail. But again, trying to get that over here was going to cost me, I mean, $800 in shipping alone. So yes, HKS. So we're going to open it up. Again, I do know roughly what it looks like, and I'm going to talk about it as we go. But this is the first time I'm going to be actually seeing this, so I'm pretty excited about that. Trusty little X-Acto knife here. Again, MV Auto was able to get this for me, so I really appreciate those guys for doing that. Now, the HKS coupled with the Racing Beat setup should give me, again, it'll be loud, but it'll have a lot more better tone. It'll be more tame. This is the Silent Hi Power. Yes, Silent Hi Power. So it will have a couple more chambers. Again, compared to what I have now, I basically have a straight pipe with a couple vibrant things on it. So it's not going to do too much. But here we go. So again, lovely packaging in here. Oh my gosh, man. Oh, wow. Okay. So here we are. Front and center. So this looks like obviously just a hanger. This goes right in the center of your car. I can see where that goes already. Again, stainless steel is the same quality stuff as the Racing Beat. Now, going into the other fine things here. Some more gaskets, as well as we have some nuts and bolts here. Whoa! Here we go. HKS Silent Hi Power right there. Actually, and it's a nice silver black that'll look great on the back of the RX7. And you can see there the instruction manual. I'm assuming some of it is in English, but yeah, that's cool. Again, we love stickers when they come in regardless. But down to the nitty gritty here. Okay, so first things first, we have our mid pipe. And again, this is why they call it the HKS Silent Hi Power. So I have another built-in resonator slash kind of chamber here, which I'm looking forward to. That should definitely help. A couple small things, like just if I'm going to be critical at all. The only thing that's a little bit worrisome for me is that, so they only make this in 3-inch. My car is an NA stock port. How much that's going to affect performance going from basically a 2.5 to a 3, I am not sure. I mean, in the future, if I do go with a street port or eventually a bridgie, then, you know, I mean, I might be able to kind of reduce that amount of problem. But that was the only thing that I was kind of worrisome about, was the fact that this was a 3-inch. Technically, this is built for the Turbo 2. It's built for a boosted motor. But I've heard people online say, well, you're not going to feel much of a difference. Guys say that they love the sound of it and stuff like that, and it works fine on the NA. So I'll be a little bit kind of judgmental on that at the time. But yeah, so this is a 3-inch exhaust. This is actually 2.5 right here. So this will bolt up to the back of that pre-silencer, and then this will make its way to the back. Another thing that I was a little bit, again, worrisome about was just the fact that I'm going from a V-banded setup to a more flange setup. So I know that's picky and stuff like that, but I love V-bands. A lot of people nowadays are building V-bands on their exhaust, so really excited about that as far as, you know, trying to see how that's gonna go. But anyways, now finally, the final product here is the HKS muffler. So again, this is huge. I knew it was going to be big, but this is huge, man. Like massive, massive tip. Oh my gosh. Yeah, that is big. So again, now, oh my gosh, so look at that. And again, you might be able to see it with the engravement there with the Silent Hi Power. But man, that is so nice though, dude. Like so nice. Yeah, like I mean, it weighs pretty good. The welds are really nice from what I can see right now. Like it's HKS, you're gonna get high quality regardless. Hangers seem to be all in the right place, and again, a very thick 1/2 inch flange on there as well. But yeah, how's that? There you go. See that? So big cannon. And again, I was talking about Apexi or Apexi as far as the dual cannons. Another thing I was a little bit worried about was how it was going to look with just a massive cannon on the back. I find with the S4 chassis, with the S4 lights, a cannon style muffler doesn't necessarily look the greatest, at least for me. Not that it looks ricey, I just find that with a massive single muffler at the back, you want to have the S5 with the nice tail lights. You want some sort of aero package, a rear diffuser, perhaps even like a bigger wing and stuff like that. I find that with the RX7 in general, if you do have a more cannon style of muffler at the back, you have to dress the car around that. So that being said, like I'm willing to accept the fact that if it changes the sound and it gives me a more comfortable drive as I'm driving, I can live with that, considering I don't drive the car often. I'm also banking off the fact that, you know, I might add in a Turbo 2 wing. I do have some pretty wide tires at the back. I am nice and low. I might be able to pull it off with a more kind of sleek look. But I have seen FCs online that are at like stock ride height, and you got basically just a stock body car, and then you got this massive cannon at the back. So I'm not gonna lie, I meant to buy this exhaust like last year, but I bailed on it just because I was afraid of how basically outlandish this massive muffler was gonna be. But no, I think I could pull it off. I'll be okay with it. And honestly, like the quality is so nice, man. It's freezing right now, I'm not gonna lie. Like this thing is basically ice. But yeah, like I'm so pumped. It basically looks like a stovepipe off a semi. But yeah, and then you can see 3-inch. Again, 3-inch to, it's going to be at least a 5-inch tip, I'm not going to lie. But I mean, a little bit of an angle, you know, maybe pop a couple flames, we'll see. And then who knows, maybe again, if I do eventually decide that I want to, you know, throw a street port on the car, then we'll see how that changes up. So, yeah, that is it, guys. That's it for basically the HKS Silent Hi Power exhaust for the RX7 FC. Again, built for a turbo boosted motor, Turbo 2, but I bought it for my S4 GXL NA. So we'll see how that works out. We're going to put it together with the Racing Beat setup, the DEI wrap, exhaust wrap, delete the air pump, all that jazz, which I will bring in you guys when we do that. And then I'll definitely make sure I try to get some before and after sound clips for you guys so you guys can take a kind of comparison. But yeah, hopefully the video does help. Again, if you're on the fence of trying to buy an exhaust for your RX7, then at least I'm trying to give you the most honest opinion. You know, I mean, I tend to talk a lot, so I try to give you the most honest opinion as far as what I bought here. It's heavy, but I know it's not Racing Beat heavy. So that's the biggest thing. But other than that, guys, yeah, I can't thank MV Auto enough, again, for being able to get this for me. So thank you, MV Auto, for that. Yeah, I have a lot going on in the next couple weeks here. We're going to start rolling on a couple things as far as the Doryoku Streetworks stuff goes. Try to get a couple more videos. Again, don't be shy to send any questions. So Attack Motorsports on Instagram, Doryoku Streetworks on Instagram as well. You can message both accounts. I'm basically on both of them as well too. So if you have any questions that you want to ask, or if you have any reviews you want us to take a look at, then we can look into doing that. But other than that, guys, make sure that you comment, subscribe, and like the video as always. And hopefully we'll see you soon. Before you know it, we'll have this baby humming. So take care, guys. All the best and Happy New Year. Stay safe. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.